We got out of here last night about 5:30 or 6. We had the plumber come. We found out we had a broken pipe in the front of the house and in the back of the house below the tub. So the freeze that we had recently kind of messed us up, and so more money, but I got a really good guy that does electrical work for me, but it turns out he also does plumbing, which is really cool. So a couple things we've goals for today, and that's to remove all these kitchen cabinets. They're all junk, they're all done. We're gonna take out the countertop. We're gonna carefully remove the sink because there's nothing wrong with the sink. And a really good hard rub with steel wool on a stainless steel sink does wonders. So, and that's sink, not stink. But anyway, so we'll do that today. We'll remove the dishwasher and we'll put it in the garage. Luckily this house has a garage so we can store cabinets out there and stuff while we're working. We've already demoed part of that wall. We can't get the rest of it until we get the cabinets out. So obviously the cabinet demo is really important right now. Once we finish that project, the very next thing we're gonna do is the window replacement in the kitchen, because it's really hard to do carpentry when you're like, you know, way far away from something. So without all the cabinets and the countertop being in the way, we'll be able to get at the window and do a much better job and really much quicker. All right, so we're cranking along. We've disconnected the water supply lines and the drain from the kitchen sink. And we got to the point where we could cut. I'm just gonna cut this countertop into pieces. And I put the circular saw on the top and started cutting, and of course came up with all this, these plastic bags. And now we're trying to figure out why in the hell they filled an entire, this is a 36-inch wide kitchen cabinet, and it's filled with cockroaches and plastic bags. And there are a lot of cockroaches. Oh, this is unbelievable. Like, I have no explanation whatsoever. Were they collecting bags? Were they bag collectors? I don't know. But there are, I mean, there might be thousands of bags here, not just hundreds. So it's just, you know, it's just things that, what is this? A receipt for Dollar General. It looks like they've bought all their food at Dollar General. And maybe everything at Dollar General. And here's that lid that they couldn't find when they were moving out. Oh well. So the problem is, how do we get this to the dump? Because it's gonna all fly out of the truck. So I may have to just, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Because really I need a big, huge, hefty garbage bag, but I don't have one, so. Okay, I'm done for now. We gotta figure this out. So we're on garbage bag duty now. Okay, we survived the bags, made it through. We actually filled all the way to the top 3 kitchen bags. I thought it would take a lot more, but had to be thousands and thousands and thousands of bags. Then our next problem was getting the dishwasher out. And initially I was trying to save it, but once we pulled it out, we saw the cockroach crap on the top of it and all the carcasses of dead bugs. No way, it's gotta go. So we disconnected that from the power. I had to pull the main, so the main power is off right now in the house. This house is on fuses actually. It's from the 60s or 50s. And I'm gonna go put it back in so we have power again. But we're almost there. We cut out a little piece of the kitchen countertop. So the idea is that we can lift off the countertop with the sink still attached, and then we can flip it up on its side and then take out all the screws that hold the sink to the countertop. Otherwise you're under there on your back, and no, we're not doing that here. And then we get to the rest of the sheetrock, because we're gonna do sheetrock 4 feet up. We're gonna take it all out, and then we'll do that, and then we'll kind of attack the window and discover the studs behind the window. So we're working it. Backwards. You ready? Yeah. Okay. All right, now we're going to slide it back towards us if we can. Whoops. Away. Okay, now we're going to just tilt it. Now we get these screws off really easy. Hey, I'm all about using the right tools for stuff, but I wanted to give a little shout out to Warrior brand. This is Warrior is a house brand of Harbor Freight, and this is an 18-volt drill driver. It's an impact. These are $39.95. It's pretty good deal. You don't get a fancy charger. You just plug in on the back like a cell phone thing or whatever. But these are really good and they last a pretty long time. And for just a second drill in a job, it's pretty handy. It stinks. What we're smelling right now is sewer gas. So we need to, you know what we need? We need a plastic bag. That's hilarious. I just happen to have one right here. So we'll just stuff it in there. That's what that is. See, there's no trap.
Yeah.
The P-trap keeps the sewer smell
In the
from
sewer.
the house. Yeah, keeps it in the sewer, exactly. So we got most of the cabinets out, but we left this one because of the plumbing. So on the back of this cabinet, it has the drain, and on the bottom of it, we have 2 copper pipes coming up from underneath the house. So it's really important we don't jostle these or bump them or bang them too much, because it's. So what we're gonna have to do is cut them out a little bit. And this is the back of the cabinet, which is just over this, so I'm still connected to the top of this, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off the wall as well. Okay. This is always one of the most satisfying things, is to get to the dump and get rid of everything at the end of the day. Woohoo! Thanks for watching. This is the end of episode 2. Just got back from the dump with my son. I just have to say something about Patrick. When he was younger, he was hit or miss about doing stuff with me on these properties, and somehow he's turned a corner. He's growing up, and I pay him $20 an hour to be helping me and doing stuff when I'm even not here. He's very, very good about that. And to work with my kids, both of my kids are they're accomplished. They've been doing this with me on rental properties for years, since they were little kids. Both of my kids can pull a toilet and change a wax seal by themselves without supervision. And it's not a big job, but it's like people aren't gonna wanna do that job and they don't know how. My kids do know how, and because of rental property, that's why. But just an update here, we can't get some of the cabinets off the walls because there's a tiny, tiny little screw that has like a hex head that's in between the cabinets. So it's in between these two. So there's a screw here, a screw here, and a screw here. And if we try to take them off the wall, it's gonna ruin the cabinets. So I'm gonna have to go to Home Depot and buy that little tiny tip and then take out those 3 screws, and then this cabinet will come down, and then we'll be able to get this one down. We're gonna take 4 feet up. We're gonna just zip out all this. We're gonna take all this out, all the way down. We're gonna remove this cabinet. All the sheetrock's gonna come off of this wall, the rest of it, now that we've got the cabinets out of the way. All this is gonna get changed. I'm gonna try to keep the sheetrock up here, but it may have to go as well, I don't know. The only thing I'm gonna keep from this kitchen is the sink, because just a little elbow grease on a steel wool pad, like SOS pads, you can do amazing things to bring a sink back, to make it really beautiful. And stainless steel is just gorgeous to work with. So I probably won't buy a new sink. And I'm sorry, I'm just realizing that you guys are listening to port a little bit. So let's get you straightened up there. That must feel better now from your perspective. But anyway, so we got a little bit of demo, just a tiny bit of demo. Got to get these cabinets down, these uppers, then take the sheetrock out here. Then we're gonna zip out. And the very next thing I'll be doing, before I change out the window even, we'll be putting new sheetrock in. So I'll put brand new. And what you do is you just use 4x8s and you lay them on their side, and you just, boom, cut out for this, just the drain, and that's it.
And what's really handy is I still have the measurements here from the last time somebody did this. So 19 3/4 from the floor is the bottom of this drain. So I'm gonna be able to like use that. This is a little tricky. We had to pull the main power of the house to disconnect the dishwasher because there wasn't an outlet. I might put a box in here. I probably will, because when you change out a dishwasher, it's a real hassle to do the wiring part. So I may just set a box in the floor, a metal box, and then put an outlet in it. And then the next time when I bring the new dishwasher in, I'll be able to just add the cord to it, just a little bit of Romex to plug in to the box, because it'll just make it easier for me next time. Because remember, this is long haul rental property. So I want to be like, I want to be in my 80s if I make it that long and still own this place and still be renting it, because I make a lot of money doing it. And then once I get into that, I'm gonna have to fix a lot of stuff here. The ceiling is really messed up because we had that wall in here. That's gonna have to get fixed. We're gonna have to repair all the sheetrock so it's smooth all the way across, and that's gonna be a job. And then I'm just gonna turn the camera here. This window, this used to be a double window. So this over here was an air conditioner when I bought the place way back when. And I put central heat and air in it, and I was really in a rush to get in. And so I just put this plywood up and then zipped it in with, caulk. But I'm gonna take all this out. We're gonna go all the way down to studs. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll put 2 brand new replacement windows in here, which will create a whole lot more light, which will be nice. Light is always great. And I'm probably going to continue that. This sheetrock here is really bad. This piece down here, it's really terrible. And you can actually see, if you look really close, you might be able to see this, but there's a line, a cut line here, and that's the 4-foot line. So anyway, that's the thing. Now, this last part, I'm going to kind of, I'm not going to be talking about stuff in the house for a minute. And so if you're not interested in the financial aspects of rental property, you can just go to the next YouTube video or whatever. But what I wanted to do is just give you some sense of what money can be made when you hold a property rather than flip it, okay? So number one, the obvious thing is there's no capital gains tax. So every time I make money, the money is just income. Now, income from rental property is not taxable by Social Security. So you get that advantage, okay? But what I want to do is explain to you, I bought this place in 1999, all right? So I used it for 3 years for myself as office space. This is like where my photography business was out of. And I had dark rooms, I had processing machines, I had all this stuff for film, because we were still doing film back then. And then I outgrew it. I wanted a studio space where I could shoot inside. And so I bought a commercial building downtown in a bad neighborhood. Long story short, it was a 3,000 square foot building with a roll-up door. It was perfect in every way for what I needed. And I got broken into 3 times, and I lost a lot of equipment, and my insurance went crazy. So I got out of there. But what I did is when I left here, it became a rental. And initially, because it's a 3-bedroom, I was making $750 a rent for a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Now that's $9,000 a year. So I would say from 2001 till 2011 or so, that's 10 years, I made $90,000 in rent income on this building. Now at that point, I raised the rent, and I think I went up to 900. So basically from 2011 till 2021, I was at $900 a month. So $900 times 12 times 10 is 108,000, plus the original 90,000 is $198,000. Now, I didn't make all that money and keep it as profit because I have to pay insurance and rental. Insurance on a rental property is much higher than a homeowner's policy when it's your house and you're living in it. I have to pay taxes on it, and this is a commercially zoned piece of property. I also got annexed by the city of Knoxville. It was in the county when I bought it in '99, And then at some point it got annexed by the city. And of course now I pay city taxes and county taxes. So that adds up. And then you have repairs and improvements. So this had a really terrible shingle roof, like a tri-tab shingle roof when I bought it. And I knew it was bad. And so I did a complete tear off. I remember they had to replace a lot of decking on the roof, and I went to metal. Metal roofs are awesome they're like super, super low maintenance, and they almost never leak. They're really more like 50-year roofs. The only thing that will happen over a long period of time is the screw, there's like little little rubber gaskets underneath the screw tips, and eventually they dry rot, and you have to back them out and put new ones in. But really, you're gonna get 40 years out of those at least. And so I'll probably be dead by the time this roof has to come off and be replaced, and more likely it's gonna get knocked down because it's commercially ground. So this is probably gonna be some kind of a, whatever, business or something in the future. But anyway, let's get back to the money. So $198,000. Now, at around 2021, I raised the rent to $1,000, which I should have gone much higher, but I was trying to give a guy a break or whatever. So just let's call it an even, let's call it like say $210,000. So I've had $210,000 of income in this property in the time I've owned it. The property cost me $100,000. So really I'm, $110,000 ahead of where I started. Of course, the property is gaining value all the time, but I don't get taxed on that value increase until I sell it. And at this point, my sort of master plan is I don't want to pay capital gains tax, ever. I'd rather die and leave this to my kids and have them pay it. That's my sort of plan. So I love rental property. I love even doing all this crap, living in amongst the cockroaches. I don't care. I mean, I'll fix this place. I'll get it good. So anyway, when I re-rent this place, rents have gone crazy in Knoxville, just like they have in a lot of places in the country. I will be renting this place for $1,600 a month. And so that adds up too. So 1,600 times 12, that's $19,000 a year. Now it's safe to say that when I finish this place this time, it'll be ready for probably 8 to 10 years of rental. So when you take 19,000 times, let's just say 10 years, that's 192,000. If we take the 192,000 plus the 210,000, I'm looking at $402,000 of income in rent in this house since '99 and projecting to the next 10 years. Now, at the end of the day, sometime, at some point in the future, this is going to be sold. If I'm alive and it's sold, I'll have to pay capital gains tax. So let's say that in 10 years' time, this commercially zoned piece of property is worth probably $350,000 to $400,000. I'm going to have to pay capital gains tax on the difference between $375,000 or $400,000 and what I paid for it. So I'm gonna have to pay capital gains of like basically on $325,000. And it's a lot. It's probably gonna be somewhere in the neighborhood. I mean, I don't know what capital gains rate will be then, but it's usually around 30%. So 120 grand I'll have to fork out to the government for selling it. Sorry, sheetrock dust really gets me. But anyway, at the end of the day, if you're paying attention to the numbers I'm throwing at you, I will have made out like a bandit. This will be more than a $500,000 enterprise. I mean, well over that. So, and then I'll be able to sell the property. So let's say the property's worth $350 or something like $325 in 10 years from now. You add that all together, we're talking about $750,000. And then I'm gonna have to pay about $120,000 or $150,000 in capital gains tax. That's easy, no problem. So long haul, being a renter, landlord, the money is way better than anything you could do as a flipper. It just doesn't make sense because you can't always predict how much it's gonna cost you to fix the place. And then you can't always predict what you're going to actually get for it. You can advertise it for whatever you want, but you don't really know what you're going to sell it for until it's closed. And so that closing is tricky. And so I'm a huge fan of rental properties, even though I'm standing in rental hell right now. So see how good mood I'm in? It's awesome. So anyway, if you learn anything from this series of videos, learn that there's a whole other side of real estate that does not involve flipping a property. And being a landlord has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. Now, I just threw a lot of numbers at you, right? So if I sell the place in 10 years, I will probably end up netting about $750,000 from this one house. Well, I got 10 houses, 10. So now think about that. Now, this is a bigger house than most of them. Most of them won't be worth this much, and they're not on commercially zoned property. So, but the numbers are still similar. Rents around here are between $1,000 and $1,200 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath right now in Knoxville. So it's amazing. This is a great way to prepare for the future. It's a great way to make an honest living. The most difficult thing is getting your first rental going and getting the financing for that first rental. That's the hardest thing about this. After that, it's really gravy, because if you live in a home and you own your home and then you have a rental property, once you get some equity in that rental property, you can combine the equity in your rental house with the equity that you have in your home, and you can borrow against the two together and then buy the third property. And that's how it goes. And what I've always done is I've taken 100% of my rent income and I put it towards the note. So whatever the loan is for, I put it on that thing. And so sometimes I'm paying double or even more of the mortgage, interest. I pay double or even more, sometimes 2/3 more than the payment the bank is telling me, because by doing that, I'm controlling the interest rate. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. This is the end of episode 2. If you're still with me, God bless you. Yeah, when we come back for episode 3, we're going to be doing the sheetrock work. We're going to be shooting a laser beam across here to find exact 4 feet and level. And then we'll be cutting all this out, and then we'll get these cabinets out of here. We'll take all that out. And so that's going to be episode 3. Episode 3 might see us getting into some flooring, definitely some wall repair, because all this over here is pretty bad. I'm going to have to fix all this. And I've also got a problem. I got no lights in the garage, and I got no power in any of the outlets in the living room. Don't know what that's about. I picked up a fuse today that was blown in the panel outside, and that didn't fix it. So I don't know what that means. So another day. Thanks so much for watching.